This is the X-Steam-inator, new technology for non-chemical weed control. The X-Steam-inator uses high-temperature steam to kill weeds. Steam has long been used in a limited way for vegetation and pathogen control, but existing systems use boilers. The X-Steam-inator is different, using a patented electrical system to generate high-temperature steam on demand.
We're only heating up a few ounces a second, where a boiler heats up 50 to 100 gallons before they even start. We believe, from what we've seen the boilers running, we believe we can cut our energy costs by probably 90%. We believe we can do that. And we can cut our water consumption down probably by 70, maybe 80%.
Weed control without tillage and without chemicals has myriad applications. The X-Steam-inator team is initially targeting high-value uses where weed control is difficult and expensive. Welcome to Yuma, Arizona, a desert where high-value crops are grown with irrigation water flowing from the Colorado River. Both flood and sprinkler systems are employed. The University of Arizona is home to the Yuma Agricultural Center, where researcher Mark Siemens is working on alternate weed control systems. On this romaine lettuce crop, mechanical weeding occurred after crop emergence.
Cultivator was run through here between the seed row to control the weeds, and there were knives out here to control weeds outside the seed row as well. And then following that cultivation pass, a hand crew will come through and remove the weeds in the seed row between the individual crop plants. You can see here, and this is a pretty good example of some of the weeds that they missed. So the real challenge we have in lettuce crop production is controlling weeds. After crop emergence, we just don't have any effective herbicides to control broadleaf weeds.
With public and private research funding, Mark Siemens is working with steam injection into the soil to kill weed seeds and soil-borne pathogens prior to seeding. The steam treatment is concentrated on the rows where the crop will be planted.
Our weed control is easily better than 85%. In some cases, we've seen 100% control. So on average, I would say if you're doing it correctly, better than 95% control. I think in that scenario, I think we could almost eliminate the necessity of a hand weeding operation.
The X-Steam-inator promises large efficiency gains over the boiler technology currently in use. The goal is to reduce and perhaps eliminate hand weeding, which is hard, hot work. Even at Yuma, with its proximity to Mexico, labor is difficult to access. The cost for hand weeding is about $300 an acre. From Yuma, let's move north to Outlook, Saskatchewan. Not counting potatoes, Spring Creek Market is the province's largest vegetable farm. This is a tillage operation to control weeds between vegetable rows.
So in our vegetable operation, we use everything from chemical controls, mechanical controls, and then also hand hoeing and hand labor to get the weeds out of our crops.
The hand labor, is that hard to come by or expensive?
It's hard to come by. It's a lot to ask of people. It's hard work. It's long hours, and it's real expensive. Yeah, it's our single biggest expense through the spring. We spend about $250, $300 an acre on hand hoeing, and that's just dependent on weed growth.
Here, X-Steam-inator inventor Ron Gleim and engineer Dan Hopper are consulting with Daniel Erlandson as they trial pre-seed weed control in vegetable seed beds. A large electrical generator and the patented electrical system with heat exchangers generates the high-temperature steam on demand.
My dream for it, honestly, is if we could create a sterile seed bed that we can transplant our vegetables into and put our small seeds into and let them have a jump start, get ahead of the weeds as much as possible. And then if we could come up secondarily with a between row application to help kill our cover crop and the weeds that grow between the rows, that'd also be really good.
Another use for the X-Steam-inator is desiccating potatoes prior to harvest. Typically, potatoes are sprayed with a desiccant called diquat, trade name Reglone, prior to harvest. The riper potatoes on the left have been sprayed with diquat. Usually at least 2 applications with high water volumes are necessary. If the potato plants are large, they are sometimes flailed before diquat is applied. This flail is removing all of the plant except for about a foot of stems. Ryan Miner grows both table and seed potatoes near Riverhurst, Saskatchewan.
You need to kill the plant so that the skin will set. You dig a plant right now, the skin's too soft to harvest. It'll go to the store all tore up. So you gotta kill it as fast as you can so that it starts skin set.
With its high temperature steam, the X-Steam-inator can terminate potato plants and set the skin on the underground tubers without the use of a chemical. Here's how the potatoes look a couple days after the X-Steam-inator. A little more than a week after steam application, both flailed potatoes and standing potatoes show no sign of green growth. While the X-Steam-inator isn't yet in commercial production, farmer and manufacturer feedback has been valuable. Here's the X-Steam-inator at the Ag in Motion outdoor trade show northwest of Saskatoon. A month before the show, these 2 strips of grass were treated with the X-Steam-inator, and the control was clearly visible a month later. Longtime equipment developer and marketer Laird McLeod is excited by the prospect of having an alternative to herbicides such as glyphosate.
When we think about the advances that have been made in agriculture in the last 35 to 40 years, they've been tremendous. I don't know that anything changes the changes the footprint and the game for food producers like X-Steam-inator does.
The X-Steam-inator is still a work in progress, but assistance is coming from numerous sources. The Yuma Agricultural Center is a valuable contact. Field work with the X-Steam-inator will continue in the U.S. in winter months. Honeybee Manufacturing, based at Frontier, Saskatchewan, known for its combine headers, is helping with equipment design and will partner with manufacturing. And PAMI, the Prairie Agricultural Machinery Institute, has been contracted to help better understand steam flow and energy efficiencies. Beyond weed control in vegetables and desiccation of potatoes, the sky is the limit for X-Steam-inator applications. For instance, orchards, such as this lemon farm near Yuma, want to move away from chemical weed control.
In between the trees, that's where we're doing most of our labor. You can't really disc and pre-emergent up a tree row as easily. So mostly we're doing spot sprays by hand. 100-gallon tank on the back of a Kubota with either glufosinate or a glyphosate product, and tank mix partners a lot because we have species that don't get controlled very easily with some of those broad spectrum.
Going from a great concept to a commercial product requires time and investment, but the X-Steam-inator is well on its way. Agriculture needs to reduce tillage and herbicide use with a safe, sustainable alternative. The X-Steam-inator promises to be a worldwide food production game changer.